Hello.
Hey, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling excited.
I'm not wearing glasses today. I wear contacts.
And
I look like shit with glasses, but we did buy new glasses. They look much better than the other ones, and then I broke the other ones in half because I hate glasses so much to spite myself, and it's done nothing. But you're feeling kind of under the weather. How you doing?
I'm trying to locate the plant that affects my psychological well-being here in San Luis Obispo. If anyone, there you go. It's probably the plant also interacts with my speech.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than that, I'm feeling great. So if anybody in San Luis Obispo knows what plant can impact your speech capabilities, please DM us.
I'm sure some of those guys who stand outside the CVS talking about the Zionist pedophiles will have some ideas for you.
They'll probably have some sort of a lube infused with Holy Spirit.
Yeah. This has come. So, welcome back. This is episode 3. We will... This is... What would you... So, do the cheer in Russian, do it in Ukrainian, and then do it in Greek.
Okay, so in Russian you will say "Na zdоровье," obviously, which means for health, which is a ridiculous toast in a way because you drink. So. Well,
it's for health in Russia because they get the shakes if they don't have a drink, and by shakes I mean they beat their wives.
Well, "Na zdоровье" in Ukrainian, which is the same, sounds similar,
so
doesn't
just
it?
Na zdоровье, and then
"Stini yamas" in Greek, which basically means the same thing.
Sure.
Stini yamas is like a cutout word, so the full phrase would be "Stin yamas," which means for our health.
Okay.
So let's drink 3 times for our health.
And in Cleveland we say go Browns.
Can you repeat this again?
Go Browns?
Go Browns. Is it the football company?
It's our football team, yeah.
It's a football marketing company.
All right, so I'm going to start with something today because I'm a little worried, Liza. I'm not going to lie. Do you know what I'm worried about?
No. Same thing as I am?
The strange man's come and the strange plant.
Mm-hmm.
The war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Greek's economy.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a shit about any of those.
So what are you worried
homeless
about?
Man can jack off on you. That's good for content. Ukraine war, don't matter to me unless you're getting those government bucks and it's helping pay for dinner. What's the third thing? What was the third thing? Greece's economy? I don't give a fuck about Greece. Although I have Greek tattoos, I'm culturally appropriating you. I will visit, and none of you can beat me in a fight.
They'll just dance the hell out of you.
They will win. They will beat me.
They'll step on you in a circle.
I will whine. I'm bad in humid weather. I'm bad in strange places I haven't been. I'm not great. I'm not great when I think people are slighting me. They'll be speaking in a different language to you. I'll just assume that they're talking shit about me. I'll assume they say I'm short. Am I short for Greece?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they tall?
Greeks are very tall. But again, I'm only judging by street police. I think it's always a very good indicator because I'm pretty sure in every city, in every country, there's a special department in the police that just it's like a casting call, right, for street cops.
Mm-hmm.
And they choose them. They're like, you're 5.9, next, you're ugly, next. So they choose the most good-looking man to represent their nation. And that's why if you judge that way the Greek street cops and the Greek men, oh my god, hello.
Really?
It's very nice. I always used to say it's a shame they are policemen. Because I would have said hello.
Yeah, no, we pick police in a similar way. We just pick bloated white Boston alcoholics who have father issues and have bold opinions on rap music. We back the blue.
That's a different type of hello, I would have said.
Kilo! So, no, what I'm worried about is, you say things wrong and dumb. And why I'm worried is I'm worried that your Eastern European woman brain is not, and you can't drink liquor, and you haven't adapted to our foliage yet. So you've proven yourself incompatible with the American experience. You see, when we first met and I hurt my knee, you were like, how much could an MRI cost? Which is about as much as a Tomahawk missile It's the only way I could compare it in Russian-Ukrainian terms.
Thank you. It's very clear now.
You said you haggle for healthcare in Ukraine.
You see, I'm that dumb. I don't even know what haggle means.
This is why I'm concerned. I'll get into what's on my phone, but haggle's like to negotiate, it's to barter.
We're good at this.
Right. So what does conversation go like? Here, let's do a role play really quick. I'm a Ukrainian doctor. No. I'm a Ukrainian patient. I'm a Ukrainian patient, and you're a Ukrainian doctor. Okay.
Our interaction will be pretty simple.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk in. Hello.
Hello.
My leg is gone due to landmine. I pour vodka on it, and it's banned. And leg no grow back. How many? What do you spend? You're not a euro. What do you guys spend? A ruble? You're not ruble.
This was the worst thing you could have possibly said. No, we're not a ruble.
What do you use?
Since 1991, we're not. Grivna.
Okay, so that's what is it? $1 to 4,700 grivna. Okay.
I don't know the currency now. I think it's like
grivna,
50 now.
How many grivna it take me to get a leg?
More grivnas than you have.
This isn't a good negotiation.
That's pretty much.
All right, I come in and I have the
every
flu.
negotiation. It's like how the patient tells how sick he is, and the doctor says you don't have enough money to be treated.
What? That's not a bar. So
We have government healthcare.
So you just don't have healthcare.
I feel so bad speaking bad things because the whole narrative right now is that Ukraine is so great that everybody forgot to speak about all the things it was and still remains bad at.
Yeah,
and nowadays even worse. And now I feel that I'm gonna get shamed by my fellow Ukrainians.
Well, you still have the right to criticize Ukraine as a country, just as Americans have the right to criticize America, which I'm pretty vocal about. I would say, I think both of us would describe ourselves as more old school leftists. Whereas I have frustrations about American social liberalism because I think that it's more of a media ploy and it's divided people from supporting leftism, which is mostly workers' rights, primarily workers' rights, which should be the bedrock of a capitalist nation, should be unions. If you're going to say that, corporations are allowed to run rampant, then your unions are the voters. So I think we have some similar views rooted in that. And then would you describe yourself, because you were around jobless anarchists in Greece, and you lived in an anarchist neighborhood.
Yeah, but I never identified myself as an anarchist.
Never. So, but you're more of a leftist.
I always used to say that because I think we talked about that before. I try to stay as far away from politics as I can, because I strangely got into that zone of thinking that every single thing that is being said has to be taken with a grain of salt anyway. So there are agendas that are being played, but I'm pretty sure I'm not privy to most of it anyway.
There's more flies out here than any place I've ever been.
Just keep on breathing, inhale and exhale, and it will be good. But flies are our friends.
No, they're not.
Without them, the frogs won't be. So don't even comment. You sit with this.
I like frogs a lot.
Continue.
I really like frogs. Take it. You have taken
I was just saying, if I were to take the absolute ideas written on paper without analyzing how they can be implemented, or if they were implemented before and failed, I would put myself on the left camp.
But basically we're saying that because you have very valid... Oh my god. We're looking at buying a tour car, and I saw a post that this person I know, she's selling a 2002 Tacoma. 27 grand is what she wants. Anyways,
that's not bad. Tacoma, is it a very big one?
It's not as big as a Tundra. It's just gonna be for two people.
How many miles?
Not a lot, but it's a 2002. It's a 21-year-old car.
Ooh.
Anyways, so you're allowed to criticize it because for a lot of Ukraine's history, it was more. It has a history of corruption, right?
Yes, definitely.
And from what I read, there's an image I can bring up. It's mostly from The Guardian, and it's the two sides of how the media depicted Ukraine, which was prior to the Ukrainian war. For years, the headlines were horrendous about Ukraine. The international community was condemning them for being borderline alt-right, for having Nazi ties, for being corrupt, for obviously Azov's involvement as like a PMC that was involved in other countries. And then the moment the war starts, it's an interesting image. I'll post it up on this YouTube. Everything, and it was like Zelensky's a joke, he's a fool, and then it flipped and it was like
what a man.
Yes, and they have that little image of him in his little suit, and if you're old enough,
he's not in a suit anymore.
No,
he got his little t-shirt
cool
and
I meant when he had the
cool
military
style
thing.
Yeah,
which is a hilarious. If you were old enough to remember George W. Bush, there was a hilarious moment where, in like the middle of the Iraq War, he just went to an aircraft carrier and dressed as a pilot, and then there's a huge banner that cost like probably $45, and it said "Mission Accomplished," and then the war proceeded to go on for 15 years. He just like showed up and was like, and then they made this country. They made a toy out of it, so you could basically buy one of those big GI Joes.
Little George Bush?
Yeah, they made a big G.I. Joe of him in the pilot outfit. It's a classic picture holding it, and then you could get the little banner of Mission Accomplished.
Oh, it's so cute. But he was a sweet man, you know. I just want to like take his cheeks and go like, you.
Well, you can now because he turned his image around. Puppet. What he does now is he's a painter. Do you know this?
No, I had no idea.
So he's a bad painter. And he's talked about how...
it's not up for you to judge art.
I'll show you it.
It's not up to me to judge art.
Well, you are an art dealer. We're getting away from where I want to start with here.
Yeah, sorry.
But anyways, it's not... No, this is... But he came out and was just like... Talked about how he's kind of traumatized from the Iraq War.
Never forget.
Outside of the families that were destroyed forever because he did it, although it was all Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld. Anyways, but he now he sells the paintings and raises money for like vets that he
of course
harmed.
He does.
All right, so but no, you're allowed to be critical. I'm allowed to be critical. And going back to that, I think what we were talking about was what were we talking about? How did we talk about Ukraine? Oh, the healthcare system.
The legs missing.
So basically, when I asked about the healthcare system, when we had talked previously, you were like, "Yeah, you just haggle with them. It's private money." Because I was bitching about my knee experience and my contacts and everything else, and you were like, "Yeah, you just go negotiate." Well, you just told me is basically you go in and they just say no, and then they extort you.
Well, that's not how it works. I was exaggerating. It was partially a joke, partially truth. So the way I don't actually know how it is right now in Ukraine.
Okay, maybe it got better.
I doubt it. I actually do doubt it.
Well, now you have UN medics who are treating you.
Yeah, because there were talks a few years ago. I don't think they fully implemented, but during Zelensky's presidency, that they tried to modernize because he hired absolutely incompetent people who have no relation to politics. They're like business people, young, supposedly progressive people, and so their idea was like, let's be more European, more progressive. Let's privatize healthcare and make it more as an American model. Let's try.
We have a horrible model.
Yeah, exactly. So let's try to introduce private insurance and all that. There's no such a thing as insurance in Ukraine, at least as I'm aware till today. So it used to be old hospitals. You can go and get a doctor's visit anytime you want. You just need to wait a little bit. You can get supposedly free hospitalization, but the reality of the things were that the meds you need to buy. If you need the nurse to check on your dying grandmother, you need to pay the nurse in cash and make sure she does that. The food, supposedly they provide food. I was in a hospital once when I was in school. The food was horrendous. My grandma would come over every day and cook food and bring these little jars, and you heat it up. There's one microwave on the whole floor, one shower that nobody wants to take because there's no hot water.
The deal with the nurse, are you saying that really quick? That's an unspoken agreement. That's not like the nurse hands you a bill.
That's a given. It's sort of like if you need any single paper being signed in Ukraine, most of the times you can be full of principle and actually try to win the good fight and try to get any sort of approval of anything that you're entitled to, but it will take you a long time. Or you can just go and bring something over, shake the hand, When I was a kid, it used to be a bar of chocolate or something, a bottle of cognac. Nowadays, it's all, because we have anti-corruption laws. So now it's just that in Ukrainian realities, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that it just means that the bribes became much, much more higher. That's not the way you say it in English, but...
Two things. One, podcast cat.
What is sass?
It's cat sighting. Two, what you're describing sounds like the holdovers from the USSR, because from what we had read about with communism was often that because it was so Byzantine to navigate the system, that bribes became the way to move things along, and that was kind of the corruption aspect.
I don't know much about USSR.
I guess
it wasn't much... As far as my parents and my grandparents would tell me, that it wasn't much of the bribery, it was more about knowing the people who are members of the party, or you yourself join the party,
right,
in order to move somewhere or get access. The whole thing was access to things in USSR, right?
Well, isn't that why they would trade?
People had money, they didn't have places to spend it.
Right, so that's why they would trade, like, a bottle of alcohol you could normally get, or a pair of blue jeans, or like an album or something.
Pair of blue jeans was, I still remember that because my father had one, and as he was in, I think, late high school, and he said that a pair of blue jeans at the time, and we're talking like 80s, right? So it's like perestroika time. It was 120 rubles. 100 rubles was a monthly paycheck, a good one. So just count how much you needed, and also you couldn't buy them. You needed to go to Moscow, or you needed to know somebody who knows somebody who can bring it to you from Moscow or St. Petersburg. Then there were these things like trains. So the goods, the trains of...
We had that technology in like 1900. I don't think we gave it to you until the 70s. I know you tried to build a Trans-Siberian Railroad. That took a long time.
Not us. It wasn't us.
The same thing.
Ukrainians were not around.
You guys didn't get trains yet.
I was just kind of sat there.
I was reading about the Austro-Hungarian Empire the past several days because I'm trying to get in touch with my roots. I understand nothing about Eastern European. It's so complicated.
Well, it's good that you're Hungarian. You have no relations with that.
What? To Austro-Hungarian Empire?
No, to Austro-Hungarian Empire you do, but to Eastern Europeans you don't. Hungary as a country always blew my mind just when I heard about the language. It's like, how did you get there?
It's because it's a mixture of...
I thought it was a part of like a Nordic tribes, Estonia, Finland, but no, it's totally other place, totally other people, barbarians.
Okay.
Almost.
Well, all right then.
Yeah, like you guys, like one of the tribes kind of stumbled along and stayed there.
We were
back in the day.
A mixture of like steppe people, the Turkish, because of course.
Ottoman Empire.
What I found is a lot of Balkan history and Slav history is hatred based on who supported the Ottomans when. It seems to be the basis of 90%.
Not many people did support them, did they?
Well, no, they came. That was the Bosnian Herzegovina thing. Is that the Ottomans came in and supported the Muslims, and then Austro-Hungarian. Once this gets popular, someone's going to email me. Wrong. I've been reading about it today.
That's fine. You always learn.
But they supported the Orthodoxes, and so that was their whole thing. All right. So here's why I'm worried for you. Also, this is very interesting. Thank you. We'll talk about this more.
You mean you got there finally?
Here's where you're not going to get. Here's why I'm worried. You call car dealership salons. You call getting in line the queue, and you shocked. I did 2 shows on Friday really quick. What'd you think about them? My second set was good.
You're very funny.
That was a good 10-minute set.
He's
Sneaky
very
Pete's.
funny.
That Sneaky Pete's was great. I'll have clips.
Are we allowed to say that, or are you going to beep the name?
No, I can put Sneaky Pete's. I'm pulling the full set online.
Okay.
And they put the clips up. I already talked to him. You can't geolocate the place.
Ah, cool.
Because it's...
Shout out, Pete. You're a very nice man.
It's not... It's definitely not the strangest place I've performed, but it is the only place I've performed that is not allowed to broadcast their location, because California is notorious for zoning laws. If you go on our website, which we just made, soon I'll have my article about how I was involved in a cannabis cartel. That's fun. All right, so bless you.
Come flower.
God bless you. Come flower. All right, here's why I'm worried. You're dumb. You're retarded. You say wrong things. Your European brain is not adapted to this country. You're sneezing over plants. Blue jeans are $120. Healthcare is haggleable. You're very, very smart. You're smarter than me. I'm sorry I said all those words. Please ignore me. I'm trying to be funny. But you're incompatible with the country right now. You're close. Here's
I'm
what
not
I mean.
trying to be compatible
You have to
with
get
the country.
nationalized, which means you have to take a test.
Okay.
And you're terrified of taking left turns in a car right now.
I don't understand who should go first.
Anyways, we've gone over it many times. It's very simple. We have a 3-light system.
You know what's funny? It's easier for me to understand who goes first if there is no traffic light. If it's just a all stop sign, then I go like, okay, I stop and then I'm first, so I go.
Sure.
On the traffic light, I go, it's green, but something tells me it's not always for me.
We're going to do 5 questions today. We're going to prep you. And I want you have to give
I
an
want
answer.
you to be supportive to me with
am.
my driving.
I have been
want you
supportive.
to tell
Ignore
me
this.
I
We're
am
done talking
doing
about driving.
good.
We're talking about driving. We're not talking about driving. We're doing this. I'm going to give you 5 questions, and you have to give an answer for each one. I don't
Okay.
care if you make it up.
What are those questions? Did you come up with them?
No. These are from
So
the
you haven't
naturalization.
been creative. Okay.
Be creative? Why would I? You need to know these. I'm
Okay.
helping you test prep.
Okay.
If you want to be a member of the greatest country on earth. Or you can go back to the place where you have to hand a nurse $200 to get a sandwich. All right. American government. A. Principles of American democracy.
Okay.
These are not multiple choice.
Oh, no. You mean I have to give an open answer to this?
Not an open. There's one answer. There's just one. All right.
Okay.
Question 1. And this is a document. I'll give you that hint.
Constitution.
You're right. You're right. All right. You got 1 for 1, but the question was,
Psychic.
what is the supreme law of the land?
Constitution.
Now, would you have known it if I didn't say it was a document?
Probably.
Okay. Cool. All right, question 2. What does the Constitution do?
It regulates the way that people act and also gives people the ways to say, I command my right to law number boop boop.
What was the second part you just said? I command my right to what?
Like a right to silence or like whatever Second Amendment, whatever amendment number you guys have. You have a lot of amendments that you can always recall and go like, this one, I am not gay.
That is true. That is the 7th Amendment, which is I'm not gay. That was a recent one with very frustrated Republicans. And they were like, first of all,
We'll give you this amendment, but
I'm going
the
to
other
make
one...
a motion here to make an amendment that says specifically, I know that I was caught in a bathroom stall at a Wendy's on the corner of I-71 having alleged relations with a 15-year-old. Now, listen to me right here. The reason that that is incorrect is I make a motion to say, I'm not gay. And if you vote against it, you're gay. And every single male senator was like, this is the best point I've ever heard in office. It was the only 100% unanimous vote we've ever had in office.
Perfect.
So yes, the 7th Amendment of I'm not gay, which you can invoke.
So do you think I passed?
If you invoke that in the middle of having sex with another man, you're actually not gay. I invoke the 7th Amendment.
Can
right
we do
now.
it to the other man? Where
Well,
does he stand on the legislation
He has the right to the 9th Amendment.
Say no more. Okay, please say it.
The 9th Amendment is homo says what?
I love America.
And it has tricked many a southerner. Because they're slow on the uptake. So they're just like, what'd you say? Oh, no. And then you can't do take-backsies. Because that's Amendment number 11 is no take-backsies. So you're
Okay.
you're actually on point. All right.
Continue. So I passed so far.
Yeah, why not? 2-2. Okay.
How many questions do I get?
Today we're just going to do 5. I think there's like 102 or something. Don't touch my shirt. Don't touch my shirt. The idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. These are the first 3 words. If you look at the Constitution, they're written in big lettering. It's the first 3. I can already tell you don't know, so you're going to have to guess. What are the first 3 words?
Hope.
That's one word.
Well, I want to see the nod. Am I going the right direction? Hope, liberty, independence.
Shockingly, not a terrible guess. It's we the people.
We the people.
Yeah, that's how we begin.
It's kind of the same
Because keep
thing.
in mind that we're declaring. It's not the Declaration of Independence, but the Constitution. We are saying like, here's what
hello.
All right, here's a good one because we just discussed it. This is on point. What is an amendment?
I know. It's when the law was made.
Mm-hmm.
It was made a long time ago. And then liberals came over. And they're like,
It's always, you are correct.
And they're like, we don't agree. We need to, revise.
That's Amendment 15, which is everyone's gay.
Yeah.
Everybody is gay.
This is the greatest country.
It's the greatest country on earth. Yeah, you're it's a change.
Clever.
It's a change or an addition to the Constitution.
Tell me I'm clever.
You're very clever. That's not what this podcast is about. Let's move on. We're trying to get you.
It's very much what it is about.
We're trying to save you from going to the gulags. All right, so these have been. We're on point, but now I'm going to skip down. We're just going to pick one at random. Ready?
I want more. It's so much fun.
Question 37. What does the judicial branch do?
Which branch?
We have 3 branches of government. Actually, can you name the 3 branches of government?
I can name them in Ukrainian language, but I don't know the translation in English.
Okay, we'll try.
The ones that write
the law? Do
the law?
they teach you about the 3 branches of American government in Ukraine?
No, they teach us law in general.
Well, your guys is
Ukrainian law.
We don't have sheep law here. Isn't that the basis?
Well,
Ukrainian law, you have the shepherd branch. You have the gravel farming branch.
Okay, so...
And then you have the branch for foreign relations that never works.
These are not the branches. These are the branches of the government. We are talking the few main separations, which are the people who write the law and the people who vote for the law and implement the law.
Okay, so there are people who create the law. There are people who implement.
And those who jerk off without knowing why they're there in the first place.
That is the 21st Amendment. when thou dost not know what to do, thou dost play with thine self.
I think I accumulated here better than you might think.
Right, you didn't give an answer, so...
I mean, what is the name again?
Judicial branch.
Judicial, so judish.
Be very careful about... I can tell you they don't control the banks. That's not what this one does.
I wasn't thinking that.
That's not
I
what this one
was
does.
thinking that. But I couldn't find out the joke about it, so I skipped. It's probably the people who do something with the law. They implement
right, well,
it.
all 3 branches do something with the law. Yeah,
These are the ones who implement it.
Okay, no.
These are the ones who hear it, raise it, and then let it go. And never do anything about it.
See, this is back to the shepherding branch. That's why you're screwing these things up. You're once again confusing this for sheep herders.
Next question.
Okay, so the judicial branch is the Supreme Court, primarily. Do you know what the Supreme Court does?
Yes.
What does the Supreme Court do?
It rules over everything.
It's pretty tight. That's the one where you go to the Supreme Court and you're like...
The other court didn't listen.
They've been calling me gay for years. Just because I had sexual relations, allegedly, with a 15-year-old at a Wendy's on I-71 North does not mean I'm gay. If you please refer to the 7th Amendment, I am not gay. And the Supreme Court is like, well, we're the judge of whether or not you're gay.
What did the other judge say? Like, well, they said I'm gay.
Yeah, you go to the Supreme Court when you keep losing.
It's like, would you think that the Supreme Court is having barbecues with the other courts? And they discuss it prior to the court? They're like, this fucking person is coming to see you Wednesday.
You throw it out each time. It's hard to get to the Supreme Court. It's very, 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 very hard. Like murders don't go to the Supreme Court. It's federal cases, like laws, like abortion.
Like big thefts.
No criminal cases. It's constitutional. So
okay.
Abortion rights, the evolution was taken
like
of them.
The famous Roe case.
Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
All right, so they review laws, they explain laws, they mansplain laws to you. They resolve disputes. That is a hilarious way to answer resolve dispute. That sounds like they're just like,
I hear you.
I hear you.
Look, the cat.
They should have, it's rude that they called you a bitch. That was wrong, and you both need to shake hands.
They are very sorry.
They're very sorry.
Tell her you're sorry.
They're very sorry that they didn't let black people go to public school for 50 years. Which is another famous, that's Brown v. Board of Education.
Okay, next question. Can we do one more?
Yeah.
I like this game.
Okay, let's do one more.
Makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And bad about your country.
You're crushing it. Okay, here's a good one. It's multiple choice, but you need to get these right. Because you only need 2. There's several. What are 2... Rights of everyone, including yourself, living in the United States.
Free speech.
Yeah.
And the right to remain silent.
So those are called Miranda rights. That one does not count.
Okay, so the right to speak, right? And the right to breathe.
Wow.
The right to pay taxes whenever you don't want to. You still gotta.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of... You're still...
So you have the right to live under the illusion of free will.
You're going to fail this test. You got.
They're not gonna like me,
No,
I don't think
freedom
so.
of speech. Come on. You can get one more. Think about it. What was our country founded on? Why were we mad with Great Britain?
Freedom.
Why were we mad at Britain? Why did we leave?
You didn't like it there.
Well, they sent us
The weather
over.
was shit.
But who came over first?
The Spaniard.
No, you're gone from this country. You're gone. Americans came. We were Americans before we came here. This is American country.
Okay, yeah.
The Spanish, no. The Nords, no. Nobody. Maybe Columbus came one time. He sailed the oceans blue in 1492.
Yeah.
All right, who came? Why did they leave Great Britain? What would they be persecuted for at that time?
Faith.
There you go. Freedom of religion. The Puritans came over because they were lame. It's actually like literally everyone in Great Britain was like, "You're so lame." And nobody. That's not even a bit. They didn't like them.
And their outfits were bad too.
They sucked, and then they
funny
all
hats.
starved and froze to death because they were idiots. And then they got scalped and tortured by the Native Americans. I've told you about those torture methods. Did I tell you about the one that they did?
Isn't that how you celebrate in November, or what is it?
Yeah, we eat a lot
October?
of food.
Yeah, you eat a lot of food.
We went over this in episode 1. We celebrate almost everything with food and alcohol, which most do. But the hilarious thing about Americans is we eat to the point of being sick, and we do it constantly to stunt on everyone we beat and are better than, including the Native Americans, who we came here, and they were like, could you guys just not... And we were like, how about we do? And then we took over everything.
Actually, the last year I was in Greece, we did celebrate Thanksgiving.
It's fun.
And we all decided to dress up as pilgrims. It was really nice.
As Puritans?
The outfits were cool.
The British didn't think so. They made them leave. Imagine dressing so poorly.
So what is the answer to? Freedom of religion?
Yeah, freedom of religion. Freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of speech.
You know, that's interesting.
Freedom of assembly, freedom to petition the government, and the right to bear arms.
Well, it's freedom of religion is all right, but I was looking up, I think I told you about it before. I was trying to understand how to set up a church here.
Yeah, that's not that easy.
You cannot... It's not that free, actually.
Well, why don't you tell the people
can't-
why you... First of all, you can practice religion. It's not the freedom to buy and own a church.
No, it's not that you can't set up a church based on whatever belief you just wrote down. And you're like, well, I just had...
I'm not gay. I'm the church of I'm straight.
Yeah, you still need to be a part of the main movements of the church. How do you call it in English? The main
Congregation.
Yeah.
So, why don't you explain to everyone why you thought that would work? Why don't you talk about Greece for a second? Why exactly did you think it'd be easy to set up a tax haven? Because you asked me about property taxes, and you were like,
Yeah.
you know, in Greece, we do this stupid thing. A lot of this podcast is discovering why Greece has failed as an economy. Because they haven't closed loopholes. So, do you want to tell briefly why that is?
Wait, I'm busy spilling more stuff on me. So in Greece, the fun thing is that if you buy... I hope I understand it correctly, because if I don't, maybe I don't. But as I was explained, is that you buy a piece of land, and then if you put a little chapel on it,
Right.
you can have more land and pay less tax. Because, you know, it's for the church. That's why if you go to any island, every single house has... It's not even a chapel. It's so tiny that you kind of gotta crawl inside. It's like
They
a
build a
little
dog house.
little prayer dog house. Yes, and this saves you taxes. That's
Okay.
it. That was a very in-depth.
So if anyone
story.
in Greece wants to hire an amateur tax enthusiast or American to help fix what appears to be a joke of an economy, a disheveled, drunken, oily sun-baked.
I mean, the church is very present.
Orthodox, right?
I never once experienced that many holidays
Are they
based on a religious matter as in Greece.
Are they Catholic or Orthodox?
Orthodox.
They have the coolest outfits.
They have nice outfits, yeah. They have really nice, again, Orthodox churches, I do go for the paintings and the atmosphere. It's very nice, it's very kind and very cozy. It's not like Catholic churches where you really do feel like you're absolute nothing.
Gun to your head, you have to be a religious zealot.
Okay.
In it.
Okay.
What religion? I want you to think about this carefully.
Does it have to be the main one?
No. It has to be I mean, you have to be committed to the day you die. Buddhism doesn't count. It's not a religion.
It is a religion.
I guess so, but
Buddhism is an
Siddhartha
Eastern
wouldn't say
religion.
that.
It's an Eastern religion nowadays.
Siddhartha wouldn't say that. All right, so you would go to a temple basically for the rest of your life. Do they accept women?
Yeah.
I've never seen
Shaolin, I
them.
don't think Shaolin do.
No, the Chinese.
Yeah. Yeah, I would do something like that. Or Hinduism would be interesting
Yeah.
to study, but again, I don't know that much about it. But as a storytelling goes, I would go into that realm.
Did you ever watch like documentaries on aesthetics?
On aesthetics?
They're the guys who do one thing for like the rest of their lives. Like there was one who's been rolling.
Aesthetics.
He rolls. He's rolled like hundreds of miles. He just rolls. I'm being serious.
You mean asceticism? Like
Yeah.
the people who
Well, but there's specific.
deny everything?
There's specific ones who they have to pick one thing to devote the rest of their lives to. So there's a guy who sits on a pole. He's never left the pole. There's guys who have their arm above their head, and then their arm is completely deteriorated. Like it's stuck above their head, frozen. It's completely thin, and people give them alms. So they exist, but they're believed if you touch them, you get fortune and good luck. So they all pick one thing, and it can be anything. It could just being like the one guy, the famous one. He's literally rolled hundreds of miles, and it's like he's kind of messed up, obviously, from just rolling, and not in the good way. We're not talking about like a kid from the Bay Area who's constantly going to raves. We're talking about a man who's physically barrel rolling hilariously.
This is so interesting. It's the first time I've heard about this.
Yeah, and like the famous ones I remember is the guy who's on a pole. Although it's disputed if he's, nobody's looking.
Let me check.
Maybe he comes off the pole. But there is the guy, I'll never forget this dude. He's like this. And then there's the one guy who wraps his dick around like a pole. But then they're rolling. You should look like that. The rolling guy.
Buddhism is one of the world's largest religions.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure
Have they ever? They did do a crusade once.
What would be your pick, by the way?
Islam.
Is it because of the virgins?
I thought about this once. Wouldn't you be pissed if you were a Muslim terrorist, right? And you're 14.
I would be pissed by definition, of course.
Right. So you're a 12-year-old, and they come from broken communities.
Wait, am I a terrorist at 12?
Yeah, some start at 9. There's a whole thing about a lot of the people who became terrorists, especially in Afghanistan, was because you're from a village with no media, no electricity, and
in one book.
And Al Qaeda comes in and is basically like, how your sheep went missing? They're like, that's America, and you don't. I'm being serious. Like they don't have news, so they just get kind of brainwashed very early, and obviously you have nothing going on, and you do see people dying, and you're being invaded. You don't even know what America looks like. So they say, this is it. So you get indoctrinated. And of course they're like...
And then you get a pilot's license.
Never forget that the 12 of 14 hijackers in 9/11 were Saudi Arabian.
Yeah, it's almost there.
All Saudi Arabians. Wahhabism.
Never forget, that's right.
Wahhabism. Google it. But here's my thing. So you're talking to your buddy. You're teenagers or whatever, and he's like, I got laid last night. He's like, she's in a different village. You're not gonna see her. You can't see her. She's in a burqa, but she's in another village. But I got laid. And he's like, oh, all right. Are you sure? And he's like, I got laid. I'll see you tomorrow. We're both gonna have to go do this. So then they go. They do the deed. They blow up. Allahu Akbar. And then they go into the sky. And he's looking at 72 virgins. His buddy's there. He's like, I knew you lied to me. I knew you didn't get laid.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to leave that in.
I think you should. It's a nice discussion to be had.
I think
How many virgins are there?
I'd be a Jew because I would get to finally win. Jews don't stop winning nowadays. Yeah, I know you were down bad for a couple millennia. You're doing fine now. You're doing. Watch yourself. You're not getting. No one's going to let you stay in this country. No one's going to let you stay in this country.
I think you should cut, like, from the moment we started talking about religion up till, like, this.
I think I'm going to have to cut the parts where you break the fourth wall and talking about editing the podcast within the podcast. So, do you have any articles for me today? Do you have anything you want to ask me about Europe?
I wanted to ask you, how do you think, since you studied English language,
I was a communications major.
Yeah, you're masterfully communicating in English. Do you know the name of the person who loves to eat cheese a lot?
Wait, is this a real person?
It's a real name. It's a term.
So there's a word for somebody who enjoys cheese.
A huge fan of cheese, they call him.
Yes, because I bought fancy cheese. It's not a cheesemonger. Give me a second. This is, God, what a bad question. This is going to derail so much of this. I went to one because I remember I was like, I love cheese. I'm into cheese. And then I left college and I went to the local market. It was like open air market with someone. And I went to the fromagerie or whatever it was. And I was like, this guy was so pretentious. He's a big fat guy. And I was just like, yeah, I like cheese. I'm into cheese. Pretty big cheese guy.
Cornflower. Sorry.
And he was like, "Oh, you're like into cheese," and I was like, "Gimme." It's like,
is this how the person was? It the salesperson in a store? He's like, "So you think you're into cheese, boy?"
This is like a dedicated stand in like a market. So this guy, his whole life,
is cheese.
His
He's
arteries
a cheese bowl.
Are cheese.
He's a cheese boy.
His wife left him because of his problem with cheese. His home smells like cheese. He cries tears of cheese. He's lost a lot to get to this point. You got to be dedicated, you know? So, yeah, he's like, "Oh, you're like into cheese?" And I was like, "I'm into cheese. I want like some real connoisseurs cheese, some French cheese." He's like, "Okay."
This is where, in Montana?
This is in Columbus, Ohio.
The Columbus.
And it was like $35 for a circle of cheese. And I was like...
A circle, you call it?
Yeah, I was like, give me some like creamy, I want cheese I can put on like a baguette. What I meant was this Sunday, when football's on, I'm going to get hammered. Then I'm going to get stoned. Then I'm going to have heart palpitations because of the two.
Then you're going to cook fish sticks.
Then I'm going to cook fish sticks. Then I'm going to toast some bread.
And then you're going to hate yourself, so you'll eat cheese to vomit.
I'm going to toast some bread, and I'm going to smear some cheese on it. What he gave me was akin to what a dying straggler's vagina smells like. It was the smelliest, most disgusting cheese.
So to answer my own question, you are not a terophile.
Oh, what?
That's what it's
a terophile? That implies I'm afraid of cheese.
Terophile. Philia is friendship in Greek. Tiri is cheese. Terophile.
You call me a pedophile?
I'm
invoking the 28th
not
Amendment.
A fan of cheese, you are.
28th Amendment. I know that there are allegations that on my computer there were pictures of me at a Wendy's on I-71 South with 4 small boys that I may or may not have picked up from a Little League baseball game under promises of Frosties. A, yes, I promised them large Frosties. B, maybe I gave them small Frosties. C, I did not touch them. D, if I did, I invoked the 28th Amendment. What is the 28th Amendment? I don't like little kids. I make a motion to pass that we make this amendment. And every male in the Senate was like, I support it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Maybe I haven't been involved in that so far, but down the road, I would just like to be safe. And you know what? I know that Wendy's on I-71 South, and it's not my fault that they keep plugging away so many Little League baseball players in there and giving away free coupons for medium-sized Frosties, which is how they caught him in a lie.
Are you still looking at
They
me when
caught
you
him
do
in a
this?
lie because he's talking about large Frosties. He's talking about small Frosties. Everyone knows that the Wendy's and I-71 South is a medium Frosty business.
I now want. You know what? I never tried Wendy's.
No, yes, we did.
No,
yes,
we
did.
didn't.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I'm.
Ah, yes, the good burger.
Oh, damn it! You're never going to be allowed in this country. I need a new podcast partner. What time are we at?
45.
45. That's good. We can do about 15 more.
There's nothing left to say.
Oh,
Unless you want to talk about Hawaii.
Yeah, so let's talk about the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, so I read that people believe, I mean, not that people believe, I think most people do not believe, but
Actually, you know
one
what?
person who
Let's
had...
pause before we do this part.
We could do this all this time?
Yeah, of course. All right, before we started on the conspiracy theories, because we've been having a good day. This is a fun one, right?
Yeah.
This is a fun podcast. We just need another pick-me-up because we're moving a little slow. We just got a new comment on our YouTube video, and it's definitely not you. So that's good. That's
Not
good.
at all. I have a toast.
Hello.
I have a toast to people from Hawaii.
To the people of Hawaii. No jokes.
It's not a joke.
Just vodka.
It's very serious. It's
I
very
think
serious in the sense how people choose any serious thing that can open a discussion to so many sides of what's going on, and yet they choose to focus on conspiracy theories like a big laser hitting Hawaii.
It's funny you mention that. Sorry, I'll say two things really quick. One, so did you see how much Biden gave to the people there?
I have a couple handshakes.
$700 a family.
What?
Yeah, I do want to say this about, I'm going to be serious about Ukrainian funding for a minute. I give them shit, but what most Americans don't understand is we have, obviously, what we do understand is the single most massive defense spending budget in the world. And the funds that are being sent to Ukraine are primarily already earmarked in our budget. So we didn't add money to the budget. We took existing money from the budget and just earmarked it for them. So those weapons and everything, those are always being sent. And by the way, if you stay in the news, which most of us don't because we don't have alternative news sources, the UN about weekly is being very critical of countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Pakistan.
The ones who send weapons to Russia?
Well, yes, that, and for murdering civilians with United States-made weapons, which we give them all the time. So there's no shortage of American weapons going all over this world.
Again, that's what I always thought that is interesting. Not always, but ever since the conflict, it blew my mind seeing the numbers as to, like, yeah, each month United States is sending up to $10 billion in weapons and civilian aid funding. While I'm still not sure if Ukraine gets all of this, I'm pretty sure those numbers are the government contracts.
Yes, it's contracts
being ordered. So this is just all very...
There's a movie we can watch
beautiful
once called War Dogs, which is about the corruption post 9/11 when we went to Afghanistan, where the way that federal government contracts work is you have to bid on them, private contractors. So if you see... Military spending is very famous. Do you know the term Hollywood accounting? Hollywood accounting is, so films for a long time were used to wash illegal money. And also the way that film studios don't go under is they lie about expenses, right? So they inflate everything on the books. And that's what the American government does is like an HDMI cable is what, $3? If the American government, it's $75. So we do that shit. Two, you want to talk about
the government tenders. I think it's called a tender. When you try to win the competition.
Like chicken tenders? From Wendy's? On I-71 South? I know, I'm invoking the 47th Amendment. Listen, my wife, I know I'm supposed to be on a diet. My lipids are a little high. And I promised people of Georgia that I'd keep it in check. But when you go to the Wendy's in I-71 South, first of all, they have coupons for medium Wendy's. Second of all, there's a Little League baseball team in there, and they're dropping chicken tenders left and right. And I was born in a poor household, and I was taught to never waste food. So if I see some Honey Mussy packets, if I see some BBQ packets, I'm going to be dripping them on them tenders. And then, unfortunately, I also call little boys' penises tenders. So I might be eating here, might be sucking here, left and right. I don't mind it. And you're still going to vote for me in the fall because you're dumb as hell. And then the entire state of Georgia.
What did you say? PP Wendy's?
I don't know. Watch it in post. So, anyways, when I was living in Monterey,
I wanted to learn English.
When I was living in Monterey,
which was when
2016 to 2018.
The good times.
Best of times.
The calm times.
The worst of times. What book was that?
Every of the time.
What book was that?
What, the best of times?
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It's Charles Dickens.
I have... The Night Before Christmas?
the Tim
night
Burton
before
movie?
that was the best of the time.
All right. That movie. My God. Anyways, there is a... I knew this girl. She was a... So she lived in Big Sur. So Big Sur, as we're trying to visit, is a very famous... basically a bay. It's beautiful. It's a...
We're trying to visit, and it's been washed out since October.
The one is washed out. We can go
And now, do you think that this hurricane that we're experiencing now in California is
you can get there. There's a north side and a south side. We have to avoid the south side, go to the north. So it's just a really long drive, and we have a Fiat 500, so we're not doing it.
Not for long, we don't.
But anyways, you can live there, but the people who live there, they're like way off the grid. So you're talking like real California hippies and your occasional tweaker. And those circles are actually pretty intersected. So we knew a couple of people lived there. I knew this girl, and there was fires.
Was she a tweaker or a hippie?
She was a hippie.
Tweaked out hippie.
No, she's just a weirdo. She's like a landscaper too. And one of my roommates at the time, Andres, who's the one who told me about the rape seals. We'll get into that one day on the podcast. Hilarious story. But he met her a couple times and he called her Third Eye Blind.
Sweet,
Yeah.
that's a good name.
It's the band plus the idea of the third eye. Very clever, Andres. I hit you up a while back. You didn't respond, but I think he's overseas. He saves sea animals in bizarre countries, like Tunisia.
Bizarre in which regard?
Not bizarre. I don't know why I
for
said
those
that.
animals to appear there?
No, he was in like Peace Corps and stuff. He travels. He's a good human being. He's a very good human being. But anyways, also,
did you ever have your third eye open? What are your thoughts on the third eye?
I don't like anal play on myself. I prefer anal I'll do it with women, but one time I allowed somebody to insert something and it's just not for me. And I don't judge any men who enjoy it. I get that it's supposed to be an enhanced experience. For me, it didn't work. It made me feel very vulnerable because I also don't like to be in a baby pose. I feel like all my power's gone.
Baby?
Yeah, I think my insecurities there. I'm just like. So, anyways, but she, after the Big Sur fires had happened, she was convinced that the government had used a satellite laser to start the fires. And I'm never one to hold my tongue, regardless of the situation with somebody. And I was just like, okay, let's take a step back. It's like, what does the government have to gain? She was like, well, they don't want us living here. And I was like, are you aware of zoning laws? I was like, they could just drive in and be like, you're done, and you can't stay.
Yeah.
So, space lasers, which have never been proven to be a thing because lasers are very hard to keep concentrated from a long distance.
Yeah.
So why don't you explain what's going on with Maui?
Well, it's on fire like the rest of the world, half of the world, but was it the biggest fire ever that happened? Biggest wildfire?
I haven't done enough research. Honestly, I just read articles.
It's devastating.
In the world? No, the Australia bushfires.
Not in the world, for Hawaii.
Oh, I wasn't listening to you. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Like always, I have to scream higher, and then they say that women scream too much.
Nobody says that. Because we can...
All right, so the main conspiracy, the ongoing one. There's a couple. So one that I found out is that, of course, it's been shot by the laser. But then the picture that the guy used of a laser is actually a time lapse of Elon Musk's space mission rocket coming up.
Yeah.
So they just kind of combined all the little tiny shots and made it into a huge laser hitting Earth, and used this as a proof of that the American government shot Hawaii from the big space laser. So that was one. Another one was that celebrities like Oprah Winfrey want to buy land there, and that's why they burnt it. I think these are the two best ones I've heard.
They don't have enough money to buy land in Hawaii. So.
Yeah, of course. That's why they need to go through the whole hassle.
They never have good explanation. My problem with conspiracy theorists is they always get like the majority of the way there, but then it pivots at the last second, usually to the Jews. But it fails at the last moment. And my frustration too with anything related to climate change is like the conspiracy is there and it's proven. It's that oil companies starting in the 70s all conspired to deny this, and the governments have always been on board because we only think in short-term profits. Yep. So we are, the conspiracy is you are losing as a human being. You have to use paper straws, and you're bigoted about being a vegan and recycling when Neymar takes a private jet from Saudi Arabia to France every day, when Taylor Swift takes a private jet, when congressmen take a private jet. And there was a study that actually, I should pull that article up, but like I think it's the top 1% emit more than 70% of emissions. It's big companies, it's consumerism, it's the need to grow, capitalism's fervent need to grow.
Hashtag
which
because
is in Marxist thought is once you start trading value for value, you've lost the plot of capitalism.
Can I ask you about the straws, since you studied sustainability?
Yeah, can you tell me what time we're at?
We're at 56. We're gonna wrap up.
Perfect. No, we got time.
But this moment when you buy a coffee and they give you a plastic cup and they put the goddamn paper straw inside, and you're like, that's the one thing, the one.
Well, I don't know.
So what are your thoughts? I know it's one of the biggest pollutants, the straws, but yet. I'm just judging plastic capacity wise. Like, this is a much bigger plastic cup than the straw.
It's a joke. The thing with the straws
is it that it just gets in dolphins' noses?
It's sea turtles. Yeah, which is a real thing. Same reason why if we get a pack of soda cans, which I only do in boxes and I don't get the individually, is why you cut the plastic circles. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, you're aware of the island of trash, right?
No.
There's a island of trash in the ocean that is the size of Texas. It's all conglomerated. It's circles. It's not that the garbage is on top of the land. It just accumulated from the bottom of the ocean and became an island? It doesn't sink. I mean, if you throw a plastic cup in the ocean, it doesn't sink.
That's fair enough.
So yeah, it's all collected. Oh
my god!
And there's
Can I look it up?
Yeah, there's efforts to remove it. But yeah, single-use plastics. My issue with all of that is we go to these places. We did it. I think about it every time we go somewhere. So we got that burrito yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there, but instead of a plate, it comes in foil, and they give us 2 plastic ram. And I don't know if you saw me. We didn't use the second one. I walked back up and I gave it. And if you see me, I always say no straw, but no one listens. So if they give me a straw and a paper wrap, I go back up to the counter and I leave it there. And obviously, 90% of the time, they throw it out. And then COVID destroyed. That was insane. I don't know if it was the same in Greece, but I remember we were going to bars in Tennessee, and including the shots, would be a tiny plastic cup. And I was like, can I just bring... And then we were in Newark Airport once, and I went to get... They had Newark backwards-ass fucking airport, which is actually much better now, especially when compared to fucking JFK or LaGuardia. But I don't want to say we... I was alone. I told you that story about the New Jersey woman, right? The attic. Yeah. Oh my god, I should tell that story to wrap this up. But I always had my water bottle with me. They didn't have water bottle filling stations, and the fucking Limptic water spray of the thing wouldn't fill my water bottle, and I get panicky without water, especially on planes. Yeah. There's always a moment. I have flown more than probably 90% of human beings in America. And there's, no matter what, and I'm an efficient flyer, there's a moment on every flight where I think I'm about to die of a heart attack or dehydration. It's pretty much like a good part of your day. It is. There's one part of every day.
Regardless on whether
Usually
you're in
whatever
the
we're
air
doing-
or on land.
Yeah, whatever we're doing. Never at the gym.
Never at the gym. Well, sometimes you think you might cough up some lungs or
Yeah.
vomit in a gym, but that's
True.
yeah.
But yeah, there's always one part on the plane where I get very sweaty, and then I think to myself, how embarrassing, I'm about to die in an airplane. I don't. So I need the water because that helps calm me. And I went to give the water bottle to the person. I was like, can you just fill it up? It doesn't. And they were like, sorry, we can't. And I was like, why? And they're like, COVID. I was like, okay, can I have a cup of water? So then they fill it, give it to me.
Touch
I
it
drink
with
it.
their hands?
I drink it, and they take it right back.
So they have double hand touch. Nothing made sense.
My buddy, Joe, if you ever listen to these, I don't know, you'll never make it this far in the episode, you piece of shit, even though you said come interview you, and I will. But he would get so mad, he'd like refuse to do stuff, and I'd usually just be like, I get it, but you can't battle the person at the bar.
Yeah, you're
'cause they're
always
just,
like a good cop and a bad cop at the same time.
because I understand structural problems,
Yeah.
but you know how I never pay bills. But the customer service rep has nothing to do with it, and their whole job
Yeah.
is being berated. If you're making $18 an hour to support a family, I know you didn't make Charles Schwab's rules.
Yeah.
So what I always do is I express to them very calmly the very obvious logical fallacy, and then I always say, I understand it's not your fault. I understand you're not doing this. I did that with the car people, and they didn't. The one we rented, this one, not the private guy, and they were like, yeah, because I was like, look, I get it's not your rules, but there's a hurricane, and I can't get to it, and I'm not paying for this. So what do we do? And they helped me. Why are we talking about this? COVID?
Conspiracies.
What's your favorite conspiracy? I like the Putin one. We talked about that.
Yeah, the doubles.
The Putin doubles.
It's not only Putin. The
Doubles are common.
When I went into it, I think I was like 18 years old. I just moved to Greece, and then moved straight back to Ukraine.
And then you went back
And
again.
like, you always stayed there. Moved to United States straight from Ukraine.
Yes, exactly.
That's right, straight from
all
Zaporozhye.
those stories about Greece were done in a 3-day period.
Yep.
Right to the rocks and back home.
Yeah, not a
Would actually
decade of a lifetime.
You know what? That actually would have made a perfect sense story. Is if you went to Greece, went to the beach, saw a group of men jerking off on the rocks, got yelled at, and then you were like, "I'm going back to Ukraine."
Yeah, my fragile teenage psyche.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the conspiracy, I was going through it pretty deeply, and the conspiracy went further. Basically, the idea was that even Yeltsin, the
Yeah, Boris
president
Yeltsin, of
before, the one who had a weird speech impairment.
The one who also really liked America.
Yeah, and so the conspiracy went that it was not real Yeltsin by the end of it neither, because he was missing, I don't remember which hand it was, I think it was the right hand. He didn't have a finger, so he would never kind of flash this hand up.
Yeltsin.
Yeah. And that he had, it was like an ongoing joke between the comedians, like stand-up comedians at the time, like post-USSR. They were not funny. They were on government channels, but, they would always refer to the political figures at the time. And Yeltsin's main joke was, that he spoke funny. And he would always kind of chew he was an alcoholic, so he would chew up words, and it would be hard to get, especially towards the end of his career. But the theory goes there was some video of him talking at some banquet. Banquet?
I have zero understanding of what you're trying to tell me.
A dinner party.
Why
He's
didn't you
at the dinner
just say
party.
dinner party?
Because there is a word for it
Yeah,
that
it's
you
2 words.
do not know.
Right. Well, if that's in the
It's a real word.
naturalization exam.
It exists in English language. I can bet you. I don't want to
Soiree.
check. It's soiree. Yep.
That's French.
As a banquet. God damn it!
A banh mi? Have you had a banh mi?
I don't know what you're saying. You just
It's a
saying,
Vietnamese sandwich.
I didn't have it.
It's a soft baguette.
A banh mi.
A banh mi.
BAH.
They have an N. It's banh mi. Do you want to go to Vietnam?
I do.
I would love to.
I would love to go to Vietnam.
My buddies have gone. My buddy went on and off he basically like half lived there. But
My alarm
awesome.
clock was for years the song like "There's something happening here, what it is ain't exactly clear."
What does it have
Good
to do with the
morning,
banh mi?
Vietnam.
Oh, with Robin Williams. He masturbated it. No, he didn't. He hung himself. Fuck.
I feel that we are sprouting our thoughts like like beautiful trees right now.
Do you know who David Carradine is?
No,
He was in a show called Kung Fu. And he died from autoerotic asphyxiation.
I never finished the story about Yeltsin.
Robin Williams was in a movie
That is
about
gaslighting.
how he had... That's not gaslighting. That's
That's just
classic
man.
women's idea of just something happens and you're just like, that is a gaslighting. No, Robin Williams was in a film.
I don't like the fact that
It's called like Lovely Boy or something,
pull it off.
where he finds his son dead of autoerotic asphyxiation. I've never seen it, but it's... I mean, honestly, it sounds
Wait, whose
gripping.
son?
It's a film.
Okay. It's
In the
not
film,
real.
Robin Williams has a son, and he finds him dead via autoerotic asphyxiation. And then he has to
Is the woman there or a man? The one who... it's autoerotic.
Yeah.
Got it.
You do that yourself. That's how you die, because you're doing it and no one's there to help you. It's like,
I know how
Seppuku.
it goes.
but just you.
I know how it goes. Never tried it myself. Have you tried it?
No. People die from it. I don't need to come that hard. Here's the thing about a male masturbating. A male masturbating, his head goes to places that his body never will. Mm-hmm. So there are things you'll look up. There's thoughts you'll have. There's fantasies in a pocket universe.
There's children. You will
Listen,
never
I'm
know.
I'm invoking the 58th Amendment. Listen, when I created this fantasy in my head of a Little League baseball team of 12 young, tight, tanned boys, all from the Georgia South, all right after games, so the little sweaty, the little sandy, and I walk into a Wendy's in I-71 South, and I'm there for what? One Frosty, one Dave's Double, and one small fry. I get a small with no salt because my doctor says I need to watch my sodium intake. He did not say that I need to watch my extracurricular activities. Now, if those little boys proposed me, first of all, did I ID them? No. Did they look older than 18? No. But is that provable in court? Also no. Because if you remind yourself, Amendment number 7, I am not gay. Amendment number 21, I am not a pedophile. Amendment number 57, Wendy's on I-71 South needs to have a warning label on the door because I am in recovery from sex addiction. And they need to have a sign that says warning between the hours of 5 and 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. The local Little League baseball team comes in here and they all get Frosties. And that is a trigger for me. And they did not have that. That is not on me. That is on you. I walk into that Wendy's. I'm there to have an innocent good time. But now there are 12 tight teen boys in the bathroom with me. Did I invite them in there? Yes, but that does not mean that I had intentions to do anything with them. I asked them because sometimes when I pee, my blood pressure increases and I pass out. So I asked 12 19 boys to come on in there and to see if I was going to fall on the ground. Now, wait, I know what you're thinking. Why do you need 12? Well, what if all 11 of them pass out? So, now I have 12 witnesses, just as I have 12 jurors in this room. And I submit to you the 57th Amendment to my fellow congressman, which states... the I-71 South Wendy's needs to have a warning label stating hot, tiny boys in this place Wednesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. Can I get a yes? Unanimous. This has been a great episode.
This has been beautiful.
This is
Thank
a
you
fun
so
one.
much for
Yeah.
speaking to me in the language of the law. I appreciate it. I feel that I know more about America now than I did a few hours ago.
You do, and you'll need to keep doing it unless you want to be returned to whatever tin shack they call an apartment.
They don't owe me.
Reminder to any government officials that listen, you lived in Greece for 3 days until you were traumatized by masturbation and you went home. All right.
To be traumatized by corruption.
Do you want to do the honors and press the stop button? It's the big
yes.
square. Can you please hit it?
Oh my god! Goodbye. Thank you very much.